Alright, everyone, Supreme Kami over here. So I'm gonna end up the week with looking at some permanent alterations or some standard alteration for the Gundam Bael as well as the Earthree Gundam. I did previously, in terms of Mountain Time, I did take a look at Bael Gundam, and this looks like there is tons of good parts to be looking at. In terms of the Earthree, I don't really recall any part to be honest like that is really good, but you know, let's gonna start things off with the Bael Gundam over here. So there is only gonna be 6 parts, so this one is fairly simple to kind of alterate and all that, but do keep that in mind. In order to kind of like alterate them, they are going to be a little bit expensive. You do have to get them to 6-star, so which means you're going to need a lot of capital, as well as you're going to need some W awakening circuits or tickets and all that. So yeah, start things off the head. I think generally I don't like it when they have these, like I just think they're like a waste in a way, like for me personally. So these are generally the things that I will kind of stay away from and not alterate. Maybe you guys do like you know, stand alone awakening skills right here. If that is the case, you can definitely alterate it. So this one, what is it? Your attack stands large build more easily. Okay, so that is like if you face against like any of those like big multi-mission boss. So this will allow you to just stun them a little bit more, I guess, in a way. So it's not bad actually. Even let's say maybe in a few occasions in daily in like your crew daily multi-mission, you might run into like those big scale. Is it big scale? I think it should be the 1/100 scale version of the RA72. You can't get it. You could definitely get a stunning property going on right there with this awakening right there. So it's not bad in a way, I guess. But generally speaking, I don't really recommend alterating these right here. In terms of the stat distribution, it's not looking too bad actually for the melee right there, but you do have 4 space right there. So if you are planning to use this on like your actual builds, you will definitely have to get some other sub-slotting for a better word tag wise over there. Looking at the chest, let's see how we're doing. Stat wise is a pretty good. This right here is, I want to say, more or less equivalent to some sort of, let's say, some of our Sokai stuff. So it's actually not bad, to be honest. And then in terms of the portrait here, this is actually pretty good as well. So first trait is really good. These are definitely going to be the stuff I usually recommend having, like a buff effect skill up by 20%. And then in terms of the second portrait, this one is non-EX skill power boosting. So this one is only strictly to your your melee and shooting attacks by the looks of things. So I don't know how I feel about this type of new mechanics or this type of new trait that they're adding on, because like we are going to be executing some EX skills. They're just not going to get that benefit. So but just look at this right here. If you guys don't currently have a good stat for like a good melee stat chest, this is definitely a one to add onto your wish list as well, because it's not bad actually, you know. So this one's definitely a good recommendation if you do need something for say. So moving on to the arm, I think the arm is actually quite good. Like this is probably the first time they have perfectly outdid themselves by giving an actual double power boosting. Though I just a little bit a side criticism, only log into late EX skill unfortunately, but we currently do have a few good top tier a welfare version, like the the blazing kick. I think that one, you know, just running this alongside is actually pretty good. But you know, I wouldn't mind it if they put it on backpack, because most EX are actually dedicated to the back. But this one having it to the leg can be a little bit restriction. But I don't ever recall having like a good arm, like a stun arm that actually gives a double power boosting. So this one is definitely a welcome addition for sure. Melee power boost by 30, and then when you have late EX skill, your late EX skill get boosted by 35%. So this is actually quite powerful, to be frank with you guys. Just looking at the stat right here, like what 8950 as well as like 4915. So this is extremely powerful if you guys do need some good pair of arms there. So not bad for sure. And then in terms of the late EX skill, they did the unthinkable and gave us an S power line. A 21 seconds cooldown at max, and then they gave us like a first time users is only 3 seconds. So this is going to be one of your powerful utility EX skill you can definitely use. So even a stat, I don't think it's that shabby at all. Like, you know, coming in at 2983 as well as at 4917. So this one is a actually pretty good leg for sure. Stat wise, EX wise, you name it, everything's good. It's just the vortex wise, yeah, a little bit wonky in that part, but other than that, it's pretty solid. Alright, moving on to the bag over here, we have another EXQ base, but the stat wise of this one is a pretty average shell, so that is definitely, you love to see those right there, right? Coming at 3,000, mid 3,000 ish right there. So it's the defense coming in at mid 4,000 right there, so it's pretty good. This one's going to be the electric magnetic cannon over here. So this one previously only is around C power if I recall. So this one jumping up to like a B power is actually quite good. Yeah. So they definitely made a pretty good improvement overall. In terms of the piercing wise, they still keep it at B, which is I feel like B pierce is sufficient enough pairing up with like a B plus power. This is a pretty powerful back EXQ to be looking at again, so not bad overall. Alright, moving into the last piece over here, we have the melee weapon. And oh boy, this is probably like the first time they have packed a extraordinarily good melee weapon on a standard part. Like this is, I would have to say, probably on some Sokai or even Gundam Battle Festival tier parts. Like even if we do look at the part tray, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Like oh my gosh, like look at that. Double EXQ power boosting, like you never seen that before, right? Have you guys ever seen like a standard unit or standard alteration packing this much heat? I don't think so, right? So this is definitely a must-have. So I think overall, like every part in the build is actually really good. The chest, the arms, the legs, even the melee weapon. Like this is probably to this day probably the best welfare alteration they could have ever done for like your melee perspective. It looks. If you're talking about some good sub slot for your melee weapon that you can kind of get some pairing of, for say. Let me see if anything does have like maybe like a pro tag close. Yeah, this one. So this one is gonna be probably like the best one for sure, because this one has a one pairing war tag close combat, and you can definitely do pro tag to get rid of Gundam type per se. So this is, oh gosh. They made a monstrous warfare alteration right there. So now let me actually go back into the page real quick, because I accidentally backed out. So now looking at, let's say, the Earthree as well. I just want to see did they keep that up, right? Let me take a look. In terms of this over here, this is pretty good stuff for the head. In terms of the EXQ, you guys know me, I don't really like head tokens, so you guys can definitely alterate it at your own risk for the stat alone. But I gotta say, this is probably not my own personal preference. I wouldn't alterate this one right here, just because of the tag wise, and then the EXQ and all that. Stat wise on this one is a pretty average out, because I guess Earthree is more or less like a balance type unit right here. Protect for computer may not be your best possible tag combination for sure. This one is actually not bad at all. So when armor is 40% or more, EXQ buff affects up by 22%. So same as the Bael Gundam as well. Range weapon only. So I don't know how I feel about this one. So you do get EXQ power boosted by 35%. So you can say this one is not a bad option at all. Like, to be honest, like it's okay enough. Stat distribution is a pretty average now, so it is definitely trying to go for the dual type build as right there, so it's not bad. Definitely good options for sure. Moving on to the arm, the stat wise for the melee specifically is actually decent enough, like 8945 as well as say 4354, so it's not bad. But the portrait is no, so I would completely skip out on the alteration for the arm, just not good at all. The leg wise is a pretty standard, like pretty averaging out as well, so okay. This one is mid shooter. I didn't know Earthree is a mid shooter. Okay. In terms of the portrait that they're rocking with over here, I feel like the first portrait is kind of like a waste already, so another tag one does have a Gundam type, so you can definitely get a pretty good pairing with alongside with some other shot based war tag obviously. But I feel like the first trait is kind of like a dud already, and not having pro tag may kind of cause you a little bit of a problem in terms of subsliding wise, so probably not a first and foremost alteration for that one obviously. Alright, moving on to the back over here. So stat wise, it's a pretty standard across the board. It's pretty averaging out, so gotta love to see that for sure. In terms of this EXP, I don't think you really need to alterate it, so it's only bumping up to like S minus. So I'm pretty sure it's justifiable at B plus power already. It should do it no worse where you can take down your enemies and all that. So probably another one to skip out right there. Alright, moving on to the melee weapon, the beam saber. Just want to see what's going on. So this one is going to be extremely situational. If you guys are into, let's say, reducing your enemy's melee power, this is definitely a good option. Because this one, I don't know, a standard may or may not be easy to form up, but this is definitely a good option to go for. But the first portrait, it already takes it out of the water, so this one is not good at all. Alright, moving on to the beam rifle, we do have EXP base here, so this one is going to an A minus as well. So B plus to me personally is sufficient enough. I don't think it requires an additional alteration, so probably my thought process on that one. Tag wise is going to be the same project for computers, so not the best, right? Definitely not the best for sure. Now last but not least, moving on to the shield with some pretty, it's pretty good actually. Would I say that actually? It's not bad, but it's not like it's really good. I definitely gotta look at the portrait first. Okay, the first portrait, this is purely for like a supporting role, definitely. You know, like what range, a beam range weapon magazine boost by 25%, as well as a one enemy shot down, burning consumption 0 for 20 seconds. So this is more or less like a really situational thing. It's not going to be like guaranteed in terms of like the first one, because there would be some instances where you can't really just say, oh, I want to beat a few more enemies, because there is only one. So having this one right here will not really activate. So overall, looking at the Earthree, I don't really think there's anything particularly you need to alterate. I think they probably outdone themselves in terms of the Gundam Bael, but other than that, this one is I don't know. This one is probably not gonna be my hot choice for sure. Just any part in general, I guess. Kind of double check the parts real quick just in case I missed on anything per se. Yeah, this one is just kind of like maybe the chest. Maybe the chest is probably a good one to kind of pick up, but other than that, it's not really that top tier compared to the Bael. They definitely outdid themselves for the Gundam Bael, but in terms of Earthree, they may or may not have dropped the ball on that one. So, but yeah, with that being said, that is going to be pretty much it. Just a quick alteration review for these two new standard alterations over here. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys all on the next one.